Welcome back. Now, as the world navigates the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, ethical and inclusive governance is more critical than ever. This week, thought leaders from around the globe are meeting in Bangkok, Thailand for the UNESCO Global Forum on the ethics of AI from the 24th to the 27th of June 2025. Among them is Namibia's own Professor Anicia Pieters, CEO of the National Commission on Research, Science and Technology, also known as the NCRST. Professor Pieters is not only representing Namibia at this high-level forum, but is also presenting the Namibian AI RAM Report, a landmark assessment that evaluates the country's readiness and alignment with UNESCO's global standards for ethical AI. Her participation marks a significant step forward for Namibia's positioning in the global AI landscape, particularly as the continent takes bolder steps towards inclusive and responsible technological development. Professor Pieters, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Nina, for having me. And good evening to the viewers as well.
Well, Professor, firstly, congratulations on representing Namibia at this global forum. Talk to us about what, Namibia's participation in the UNESCO Global Forum on the ethics of AI signifies for our country and as well for the region at large.
Well, first of all, I'm actually representing the Minister of Education Culture, so I'm not representing myself. And then second of all, we are representing the NCRST as well, because I am here with actually one of the people in the commission who has been leading a team of researchers to develop and complete the RAM report. And then I'm also here with the National Commission on UNESCO from Namibia. So I think that there were two other global forums on the ethics of AI, and this is the third one. And I really think that this is really, a very great opportunity to be here, because everybody who could actually assist us with resources, who could assist us, for instance, with technical assistance, are actually here and speaking to us. So the other opportunity is also that we had, for instance, had an opportunity to articulate what it is that our needs are. Particularly, I've been speaking on three panels, high-level panels, and Dr. Amakoshi will be speaking on a youth panel tomorrow night. And so we are articulating Namibia's stance. We are highlighting our strengths and also highlighting our weaknesses. And today at the panel, UNESCO has already pointed us to where they can assist us, for instance, by availing infrastructure access for our researchers and developers in Namibia. And I'm actually quite excited about that.
Well, the Namibian AI RAM report is a major milestone, but can you briefly explain what the AI RAM is and why it's important for Namibia to undertake this assessment?
Yes, so you remember that Namibia had completed a 4IR task force recommendations report. But from that report now, afterwards there was sort of, UNESCO had developed a readiness assessment methodology to assess the readiness of the state of readiness for AI in different countries. Now they have 194 member countries, and of those, about over 70 have completed their RAM report, and then 28 are in Africa. So Namibia had also embarked on completing this RAM report, and we are very grateful to UNESCO for providing that support and funding for us to complete it. And we have identified, of course, some of the priorities within that report, as well as highlighted some of the challenges. Now, as we can see, many of the countries who are reporting on their RAM reports as well is also sort of saying, okay, so how do we move forward? How do we address these challenges that are highlighted? And then many of them are, of course, setting up their own national AI committees. and their AI strategies. In fact, many of the countries have done that already, but the RAM report actually serves as the basis for developing those strategies. Now, today, the RAM report has been published for Namibia, and it has been uploaded together with all of the other countries in the repository. But I want to highlight a little bit that, in Namibia, we sometimes think that we are very far behind, but we are not. We really do have strengths. In particular, that we are increasing our AI capacity. We have a youth-driven tech appetite also for setting up AI businesses. We do have, some very active sort of academic programs. We have funded research in sort of economic sectors with AI embedded, for instance, in health, in agriculture, in water, in energy. And we have to focus now on education, logistics, tourism, for instance. So I think that those are the strengths. I'll pause here before I get into the lowlights of the report.
Well, let's get into that. I wanted to talk about what the most urgent ethical challenges are that Namibia and Africa more broadly, need to tackle as AI technologies become more embedded in our daily lives.
Well, one of the things is that actually a strength that was highlighted, remember this report was not only NCRST's work, it was a combined work of Namibians. There were stakeholder engagements, it was like a lot of inputs were received, and there was a national validation workshop as well. So this is the combined voices of Namibians speaking. And on the ethical side of it, that is maybe, surprisingly, that was actually one of the strengths that was pointed out. There is, for instance, a responsible AI cluster at NUST who's doing a lot of research into that. We've also seen that despite the fact that we don't have legislation, we do have some protections on risks of AI within the country, but those need to be formalized because right now you're sort of relying on, on sort of people's, what does one say it, the good nature of people. So you do need to have the regulations and the legislations, and that is actually something that is severely lacking in Namibia. But in terms of ethics and responsible AI, human-centered AI, and trustworthy AI, one of the difficulties that one has and experiencing everywhere is the fact that there is so little AI literacy. AI literacy means that people, the general public, will always be exposed to a lot of data, to a lot of AI tools and models, whether they know it or not, but they are exposed daily if they're on social media, if they are anywhere on the internet. Those tools are already embedded. AI is embedded already, but they need to make sense out of the data that they are receiving. They need to sort of critically analyze, and that is how you combat also misinformation. And that is also how you are also looking towards, whether you can trust the data. And then, of course, on the developer side, the ethics should be embedded in whatever they are developing. You should always consider that I'm solving, what is the good of it? And then you also need to consider, who am I harming? And that is essentially where your ethics is coming in, that you need to, limit the harms or mitigate the harms while you're maximizing the benefits of this product that you're rolling out. Now, in countries where we have data protection laws, where we, for instance, have AI policies, you will see that those components evaluating risk as to who will be harmed and how much damage that harm can cause is something that you will assess, and your evaluation and metrics tools those frameworks come into being. If anybody, for instance, if anybody would have seen OpenAI's ChatGPT DeepSeek, they have explainability. They have a button that says reason or explain. And then when you click on that, you can actually see how that model is, where it gets its data from. It will give you the data sources where it pulled it from. It will also tell you how it derived at the answer. And you, for instance, can sort of determine whether that the facts that it's giving you, whether it's actually correct or not, depending on the data sources that it used and depending on how it was actually combining the data, and then how it reasoned to give you the answer that you have. I know that I argue all of the time with it.
Well, Professor, we're almost out of time, but I just want to ask, lastly, where do you see Namibia in the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to AI innovation and governance? And just give us your final remarks as well.
Okay, so I really do think that we need to get going, on the governance aspect. I know that with MICT and with the Ministry of Education and many other stakeholders and CRAN as well, we will be starting on the AI strategy because it's something that just needs to move. We have the capability in the country to do it, so we will just sort of move on with that, but we need to get the legislations in place. Besides that, I'm quite excited that there's quite a lot of sort of capacity building initiatives coming up. Also with the National Responsible AI Institute that we are setting up. That one is going to address a lot of youth unemployment. Because it will be building real life projects, AI projects, sending some to incubators, working on a data layer to get curated and high quality data sets in the country, as well as setting up sort of the research components, to look at our critical and highly focused areas such as water, energy, health, agriculture, even sports and creative industries stands to benefit from this. And we are certainly at NCRST pushing to sort of make more grants available for researchers, but we also want the research to be applied to solve the problems on hand. And then, of course, we have the innovation programs with tech startups. And I, for instance, see a lot of AI startups starting up in Namibia. And, I'd love to have the opportunity to actually convene them all together and showcase what is already happening. So I am quite excited about our future moving forward, but we need to move together, all of the stakeholders and all of the partners within Namibia. One final thing from my side is that we are also looking at doing an assessment, a study to look at the future of jobs in Namibia, which jobs, which sectors will most likely be heavily affected by future job losses or future job transformations, because we would like to design interventions then for those sectors that will be most affected. This is one of the projects that we had also put forward now to potential funders here at the forum. If they are interested, they can also partner with us in that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, Professor, please do enjoy the last few days of the summit, and we appreciate your time this evening. It was lovely speaking with you.
Thank you so much, and good night.
That was Professor Anicia Pieters, the CEO of the NCRST, speaking to us from Bangkok, Thailand there. We'll be right back after this brief break.